And we are now recording. And welcome, everyone. My name's Dave Giberson. Until about 1.5 years ago, I was the Senior Instructional Design Coordinator at Online Learning Pathways at the district. Now I'm just a senior citizen living retired in Idaho. But Katz has asked me to come back and help out a little bit with some of the Canvas training as we prepare for this rather massive transition that we're in the middle of. I know many of you, those of you who I have not yet met, this will be a fun possibility. Looks like we've got a good turnout here. Gee, well over a dozen people, so worthwhile this afternoon. All righty. Just a little bit of housekeeping about the system we're using here, which is Zoom, obviously. Again, if you're not speaking, we'd appreciate it if you kept your microphone muted. The mute button, if you mouse over the video where you're seeing me, you'll see a little menu pop up at the bottom of the video window. And in the lower left-hand corner of that window, there's a mute option with shaped like a little microphone. And if you click on that microphone, a red slash will appear through it. That mutes you so that we can't hear you. Obviously, if you want to say something, and I hope you will, just click that microphone icon again and you'll unmute yourself. It's just a switch, a toggle on and off. If you forget, which I do all the time, you'll get a clue. If I ignore you, I'm not hearing you. I do not ignore people. So just look down and make sure you're unmuted. You can turn your video off the same way, though it's nice to see you if you have a camera. I have I'm in what's called gallery view right now, and if you look in the upper right-hand corner of the Zoom screen, you'll see a button that says gallery view, if you're not already in it. You get something like a Hollywood Squares sort of display, a bunch of little windows with people's images, webcams showing up if they have their video on. And that's kind of a neat way to see everyone else who's involved and who's in the session. There, we will be using somewhat the chat tool, which is also in that menu. If you click the little chat balloon, you'll see the, let me get that out of the way. You'll see a little chat log. There's nothing in it yet. Down at the bottom it says type message here. And if you just type there, it will appear. And by default, it will appear to everyone, and that's usually what you want to do. I'll be using this some, but I want very much for each of you to use it for at least two things. One is to, One is to let me know that you were here. So I'd really appreciate it if you would type your name and your email address into the chat tool. The chat will be saved, and I'll be able to go back and tell who was here later, in case, especially if it's someone that I don't recognize. And we're going to want to communicate with you later and so on, in all probability. And we also want to make sure you get better for that. That's great. People are running through that in a hurry. Also, if there's a question that I can't answer just right offhand, or that is something outside the scope of this course that I wouldn't have time for right now, I would appreciate it if you would type that question in here and identify who it's from, and I will make sure that you get an answer to that question. If we have time today, I'll go back and do that, assuming I know the answer. And if I don't, I'll look it up later. But if I can't do that, if we run out of time, I will make sure that you get that question answered. I'll send you an answer in email. And if required, I'll make you a little video tutorial to show you what the answer to that question is. And obviously, you can use that chat tool for anything else you wish as well. But keep in mind, it will be recorded. So, and that's happening automatically right now. Thanks so much for doing that, for putting everybody putting their emails in there. We're up to 21 folks in the meeting right now. That's great for a Tuesday afternoon with only about 3 or 4 days notice. All righty, much of the time today, I will be sharing my screen. And you'll hear me, but not, and depending on how you're set up, you may see a little thumbnail image of me as well. But I'll be here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, unless anyone has any questions about Zoom or how to be heard or post a question or anything else you can think of. And this is not your last chance to ask a question, but I'm going to go ahead and share now. Oops. Wasn't where I wanted to be. That's where I want to be. All right, this is our outline, training outline for today. This is available to all of you. I'm going to put the link to it in the chat tool. As soon as Zoom lets me get back there.
Steve?
Yes, please.
I'm Helen. Somehow I accidentally got I was trying to close the chat, and somehow I got a blank screen.
A blank screen. Probably you clicked off the Zoom application. If you look in your taskbar at the very bottom of the screen, I'm assuming it's a PC.
Should I say join, launch, and run Zoom again, or?
You don't. No? You shouldn't. No, you're still in the meeting, or I wouldn't be hearing you. So if you look in your taskbar at the bottom, there's probably a little camera icon. It's a white camera in a blue circle. And if you click on that, I'll probably reappear.
Start chatting.
Let me stop that share for a second.
Now I see you in small screen.
Good, good.
Oh, now I'm back. Thank you so sorry about that. Sorry
about that happens all the time, not to worry. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put this. All right, if you look in the chat tool now, the last posting is the link to that. Let's see. To this training syllabus. You can pull it up again anytime, pull it up in another window. I won't leave this up here the whole time. And you can also print that out from the chat log later at need. All right, what we are here to talk about today, of course, is our new Canvas learning management system we're transitioning to. Here is the URL for that system. It is already in place and is already, we're actually running 7 pilot courses in it this semester. You can access that system at any time. You will need to request a user ID, which is just going to be your new 10-digit Embed ID, your employee ID, and an account on the system, and a practice course, a development course in which to work, 1 or more. You can do that at, let's see, let me put this down here at the bottom. And our email, support email address. support@sdccdonline, all one word, .net. If you just send if you don't already have access to Canvas, the folks who monitor that can get you set up and get you a shell with which to practice. And you can have a shell for each of the classes that you normally teach. And you can start loading content in and setting up your classes at any time, so you can immediately apply what we're going to be talking about today. We've also listed here some of the just veritable plethora of Canvas resources that are available online for free to you all. We have produced a number of local Canvas tutorials, and there's the URL for that. Things that we've been working on over the last couple of years as we've been preparing for Canvas. Then the company that owns Canvas, Instructure, provides a wonderful set of tutorials, both for instructors and for students. And these two links will take you to the table of content pages for each of those. Now, there's just about nothing that you could possibly want to know about Canvas that's not covered in one of these tutorials somewhere. And these are almost all great short, very well produced multimedia tutorials. So there's really nothing I'm going to say today for sure that you can't find out here. So if you find that this is not worth your while, you can find everything you need to know here. But I hope you'll stay. It's nice to be talking with you this afternoon. As I said earlier, this session is focused on campus faculty who use the learning management system as a supplement, but who teach in a classroom and teach full seat time. It's not a partially online or hybrid course or a fully online course. It's just a supplemental site for a classroom course. And this is something we very much encourage, and our license allows us to make as many of those as we like. And it's a tremendous resource in a classroom course. But typically the use of the LMS is a little bit less robust than in an online course. There are many things that you have to do in an online course that you would do just face-to-face with your students in a classroom-based course. But placing materials and using the LMS in other ways in a classroom course is something we really encourage. I've always felt we probably make more of an impact that way even than we do in supporting online courses in some ways, because there are so many more on-campus courses than there are online courses at the district. And indeed, with Canvas, we're going to be able to make a container, a shell, for every course that's offered by the district, not just online or partially online or hybrid courses, but every on-campus course will get a shell, we call it, a container. It's up to you whether you use it, whether you activate it, but it'll be there if you want it. This is a departure from our current procedures where you have to request an on-campus shell if you want one. Our license with Canvas allows, and the capability of the state Canvas system, or the CCC Canvas system, allows us to do this. So you'll never be without that option. As a result, this session is going to focus more on just basic orientation to Canvas and loading content into Canvas, since that's what is the common denominator for most on-campus course shells. They serve as a repository of information, online information for your students. Saves you having to print things out, hand them out in class. though I do realize that many on-campus faculty use Canvas or use the LMS, Blackboard now, in a much more extensive way. Some do assessments online, some accept assignments online, and some use Zoom like this for office hours and so on. So it's I realize there are lots of different things that Canvas will be used for by on-campus faculty, and I want to try to touch on everything today, but I'm not going to go into great detail on some aspects of Canvas. One thing, in another hour and 40 minutes, we're not going to have time to. Canvas is an extensive system. Really every bit as powerful as Blackboard. But you know, I'll be happy to cover anything that I'm capable of covering. I don't present myself as as having an encyclopedic knowledge of Canvas. We're still all learning about it as we go along. But I will answer anything I can right now, and anything that I can't answer, I will get the answer for you, and I'll send it to you. That's where the chat tool comes in. If you'll put that question in the chat, I will be going back through this chat log line by line after the session, and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible with those answers. I hope that'll help. All righty, so let's take a look at Canvas. I should have that here somewhere. Let me log out here. And when you go to sdccd.instructure.com, remember that's our Canvas system, which is fully functional at this point, you'll be presented with a fairly simple login screen. Your username, your user ID, should be your new 10-digit IMPL ID, your new user ID. Our pilot courses that are running right now are still using the 7-digit CSIDs, but yours should be your new 10-digit ID. And then the initial password should be ChangeMe, CHANGEME. Now, we'll, of course, send you that information when we make your accounts, but that's our standard initial password for faculty. There is a forgot password dialog here if you need it. It works very much like the one in Blackboard, which is to say it only works if the email address that we have for you in Canvas matches the one that you're currently using. This is an Achilles heel of these forgot password dialogues and LMSs for schools like the district that do not provide their students with district supplied email addresses, EDU email addresses. You all, of course, the vast majority of you will have those district email addresses, and that is most likely the one that you would use here. But I'm just going to log in. I gave myself the easiest ID to remember I could, since I was the first one to set it up. And when you first enter Canvas, you go to something called the dashboard. And it's basically equivalent to the My Courses list in Blackboard, for those of you who are using Blackboard at this point in time. Each course that you were enrolled in or that you were the instructor for shows as a little square. If you have put a course image into the course, so the image will show here as well. And it's just a list. The course we're going to be using here today is my on-campus faculty training demo course. And to get into that course, all I have to do is click on this rectangle. And that's what this is, an empty Canvas course at this point, and that's what your courses initially will probably look like. You've got a course menu down the left-hand side here, which is kind of reminiscent of Blackboard. Many of the entries in that course menu are the same as the ones in Blackboard, and there are some different ones, and some things are named differently. But that course menu is very similar. And over here on the right, let me get this out of the way, you've got a settings menu, if not, you might want to call, or just an action menu that will allow you to do things like look at the course as your students see it. The student view in Canvas is a lot simpler to use than the one in Blackboard. These are things that are pretty self-explanatory. Indeed, I think you're going to find overall that Canvas is quite a bit more intuitive than Blackboard. It's very rare for you to want to do something in Canvas and not find a button or a link somewhere on the page that you're sitting that's prominently featured that will allow you to do that. So, for instance, it's very easy to see how to publish a course. There it is right there. This course is currently unpublished. Just means that students can't see it. The instructor can always see their courses, but until the course is published, students can't see it. This is going to be very important for you because when you receive your on-campus course shells, they are going to be unpublished. And your students will not be able to see them until you publish them. This used to happen automatically, or it still does happen automatically with Blackboard, and it'll happen it happens at the moment that the course begins, the first morning of the course. That's not going to be the case with Canvas. You're going to have to publish your course. And we're anticipating a lot of calls from students on the first couple of days of the semester asking us, why can't I see my course? So we appreciate it very much if you help us keep that to a minimum. We had a hand-picked group of faculty, 7 faculty, doing our pilot courses this semester. And one person forgot to publish their course on the first day of class. And sure enough, we got emails right away. And when we have, thousands of courses to deal with, we appreciate keeping that percentage a little bit lower. So thanks for that. But, I mean, to publish this course, you couldn't possibly not see how to publish it. There's a big button here, the check mark that says click it and it'll publish. Nothing to it. We're going to first talk about the primary focus of today's session, which is how to add content to Canvas. And as a result, or as part of the very good design of the Canvas interface, both of these big icons that you see here on the screen when you first log into your course are related to that. One says create a new module, one says add existing content. We're going to talk about the create a new module first, and then we'll deal with the existing content add in a little bit. Canvas is highly modular in the way that it handles content. Blackboard has many options of that nature, but Canvas pretty much enforces modularity of content. And by that I mean organizing your content in such a way that all of the content that has to do with a particular week or a particular chapter or a particular topic in your course will be grouped together. So students can find it all in one place, a so-called Canvas module. This is analogous to the learning module in Blackboard, for those of you who are familiar with those. Very similar idea. And they operate almost identically. But whereas you can post content in Blackboard without being modular, you really can't do it in Canvas, and that's by design, because modularity of content organization is one of the biggest factors in ease of navigation and ease of finding things in your course. So the first thing we're going to do is create a new module, and it's very difficult not to figure out, again, how to do that. You just click on this big icon, and you're asked to give the module a name. I'm going to call this one Welcome. I could call it Fred if I wanted to. It doesn't care. And just click Add Module, and bada bing, I'm taken to the so-called module page in Canvas, which is also accessed through that modules link in the course menu here. That's grayed out right now, and that means it's not visible to students, only to you as the instructor. The reason it's not visible right now is that there's up until a moment ago, there was nothing in there. So it doesn't show that to students if there are no modules. And right now there's a module there, but there's nothing in it. So it still won't show it to students. Here in a few minutes when we start adding content to this module, this will become bolded and will be visible to students. But it's very easy to tell right off the bat what your students can and can't see in your course menu. If it's bolded, they can see it. If it's grayed out, they can't. All right, let me ask a question here. What am I going to have to do to add content to that module? Don't forget to unmute yourself. Oh,
I would guess you have to add a page.
And that would certainly be one way. What would I do to get to that point here?
Probably click on Pages.
Click on plus sign.
If I clicked on Pages, I could create a page. That's true. And we'll talk about the difference between files and pages and so on in a minute. But that would not put it into my module. Take a look at the screen.
I think I heard somebody else say it. The plus sign?
A plus sign. Exactly. It's sitting right there. It's just a terrific interface, a terrific design of the interface in Canvas. What you need to do next is almost always sitting there staring you in the face. I quite often manage to ignore it, but it's still there. If I just stop myself and say, wait a minute, you know it's there, and just go back and look. Indeed, this big plus sign here. This is not quite so obvious. The little slash circle allows you to publish. It's very easy to tell in Canvas not only whether the whole course is available to students, but whether individual content items therein are available. And then these three little dots here, the vertical dots, it escapes me what that symbol is called, also usually imply a menu. And there are some menu options that don't mean much yet because we haven't added anything. But indeed, we're going to start adding content to this module by clicking on the plus sign. And we get an Add Item screen in Canvas. At the top of that screen is a drop-down menu that allows us to decide what kind of content we want to add. If you open that, you see we can add assignments. Assignments are identical pretty much to assignments in Blackboard. They're opportunities for students to satisfy a homework assignment by uploading one or more files to Canvas so that you can grade them. Quizzes are self-explanatory. Files are just about any kind of computer file. Word documents, PDFs, Excel spreadsheets, just about any other type of file that you could imagine can be uploaded to Canvas and then provided to your students. The students, of course, have to have some way of opening those files. So if you're uploading an esoteric content file of some sort, like say an AutoCAD file or something like that, your students would have to have AutoCAD to open at the other end, but Canvas doesn't care what kind of file it is. It'll just send it to the student and then they're on their own. A page. A page is something that someone's already mentioned, but I'm glad they did, because pages are the quintessential content item in Canvas. They're very similar to what we call items in Blackboard. They're basically web pages, collections of text, optionally images, hyperlinks, videos, things like this can all be embedded in a page. The big difference between pages in Canvas and items in Blackboard, and this doesn't sound that dramatic initially, but by gosh, it makes a huge difference in designing your course in the long run, is that in Canvas pages, you can embed links not just to external content like web pages out on the web, but to content within your Canvas course. That's something we've just never been able to do without hacking Blackboard, and there are lots of negatives associated with that particular hack. This is a huge deal. So you can create a page in Canvas and basically put your whole course right on the page if you want to. You probably wouldn't, but you could do that. Discussions are just like discussion, very, very similar to discussion forums in Blackboard. People post a message and other people reply to it, and people reply to the replies, and so on and so on. It's a threaded discussion board, very much like the one in Blackboard. A text header is just a label to make your module page a little more readable. You may or may not ever use those. An external URL is what we call a web link in Blackboard, just a link to something out on the web that you don't have to create a page to put in there. You just put in the URL. And an external tool is, no, I'm not going to use that joke, sorry. We're not going to worry too much about the external tools right now. So, I want to put a file in right now. So I'll just click File. And if I had any files already loaded into this course, they would show up right here. But I don't. This is the first thing. This is a blank course. So my only option is New File. So I just click on that. And it asks me to choose the file to upload. It's assuming here that I have that file on my local computer, which I do. And I'm just going to use this little thing I generated earlier called welcome.pdf. This file, remember, could be anything. But more often than not, it'll be a PDF or a Word document. And just click Open. And there's usually no reason to worry about the next two options. And we'll just add the item. Bang. There it is. Now we begin to see the module tool, the module page in Canvas start to take place. And please feel free. I know that Canvas is wonderfully simple, and you probably don't have any questions yet, but if you do, jump right in. Just remember to unmute yourself so I can hear you. And again, if I ignore you, it's because I don't hear you, not because I'm ignoring you. So don't hesitate to jump in if you have a question. We're doing fine on time. And
I have a question,
please.
Dave. So, well, you know how on Blackboard, when we have multiple things within a module, you see a sequential list. And is that going to be the same as you keep adding items and they can be moved up and down to change the order?
Exactly. We only got one so far, so it's a little hard to see, but yes, they're just going to stack right up under this one. And you can move them back and forth. You see the little, or up and down rather, you see the little double row of dots there? Mm-hmm. When I mouse over that, it turns, the cursor turns into a four-headed arrow, and I'll be able to move that up and down that way. All there is to it. Okay, now if I click on the link to that, there's welcome.pdf. It's just a little PDF file that I created in Word with a couple of images, a title, and a little bit of text. I could equally well have included hyperlinks, video, links to videos, embedded video, links to content within the course, links to content outside the course, and so on. But that's just our first one. So there we are. Nothing much to it. Go back. Let's load something else. Let's see what I have here. I can add, whoop, I'm going to add to welcome. There we go. Let's see. Let's add another file. Let's see what I have here. There's the only file that I've got in the course file list right now, and I'll show you how to get to that in a minute. So I just do new file, choose file, and here's a web page, an HTML document that I can add. And then just add item. Now there's two. You can add again, new file, choose file. I don't have any pages created yet, so I can't add those. We'll see that in a moment. And maybe a syllabus. There's my syllabus in HTML format, but it could equally well be in Word format or PDF format. Or it could be a link to some esoteric syllabus in a flip book or something out on the web. Anything you want to do is doable. And add the item, and just that quickly, you can add content to your Canvas course. There's just not much to it. If I want another module, all I have to do is hit this big module button up here, add module button, and I can call it anything I like, click add module, and there's the next module. Notice that Canvas separates the two modules with a dotted line. So now I can start adding stuff to module one. I can put my textual material I want the students to read for module one. I can put my, or probably first I put my objectives and my textual material, PowerPoint presentations, anything. If you're accepting assignments online, assignments, if you're getting quizzes online, quizzes, and so on. So you can build a course in the modules page here very quickly, and it's going to look to the students essentially identical to what you're seeing here. It ain't the prettiest thing in the world, but it works. This is the simplest way to add content and to display content to your students. And this is always the core underneath everything else. And when a student comes in and clicks, or anyone comes in and clicks on the first item in a module and brings that up, if there's something else in the module, if there's something following that, there will always be a next button in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. You just click next and you go to the next item in the module. Oops, I didn't get that image in there, sorry. And once you go one in, you've got a previous button as well. So you can go back to the previous item in the module, and you can just navigate the rest of the way through the course this way, item by item, from module to module. And you never have to go back to that module page necessarily, though you always can by going over here and clicking on modules in the course menu. And we've hit sort of a watershed in the session today, and 45 minutes in. That's better than I thought it would be. You now know everything you need to know to put all the content that you want to into Canvas. You could go and start adding content that you've got on your home computer, your office computer, right now, as soon as you get your Canvas shell, anyway. And you don't need to know anything else. And somebody asked about, I think it was Susan asked about taking notes. You've got a cheat sheet in front of you the whole time. There's always, everything you need to know is almost always right on the screen in Canvas. And if you're not certain about what something does, you can always just click on it and see. You're not going to break it. So this module is now published. Students can see, if there were any students in this course, they could see it. Notice that as I added things to the module, they were automatically published, but I can always unpublish them as well.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
So when will we have access to our courses for next semester? Because I'm building right now for the fall.
Cool.
And if I wanted to be doing the two, you know, just posting them to Blackboard and Canvas at the same time when I'm in the groove, is that even possible?
All you have to do is ask for a so-called development shell in Canvas.
But for more than one course, I mean, I can do it with, I already have my development shell, so I can build one. But beyond that,
you can ask for another.
And it will be the shell that I could use next semester?
No, it will be a development shell for that course.
Can it be copied into? You
can copy that content into the live shell that you get for your actual course, just as you do in Blackboard.
And do you know at what point in time they'll give us the live shells for next semester? Cats? That's probably a cat.
That's a cat's question. I'm not sure if Cats is still there or not. Let me look.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, good.
We are we are in a process of evaluating whether or not we can go live with Canvas for the spring. There's been some issues that have cropped up, and we might
no.
I see. Will there be an option to do it either way?
No, because the Blackboard system is on our old system. It's on ISIS. So the information we get would be uploaded into Blackboard from ISIS. With Canvas, since we configured Canvas to work with Campus Solutions and not ISIS, if we want to still go live, we're not sure yet how we're going to do it. It's just a complex thing. But we have other business processes that we're developing for the configuration of Canvas, including those people who use the publishers' websites. We're going to have them request the installation of those LTIs. I don't know if you use them, but so that's another process that we haven't really quite worked out, and I don't know if we'll be ready for spring.
Okay.
Okay, and that we're going to move right on from there. But you can get, yes, you can get that development shell right now, and it will stay in Canvas until the asteroid hits or whatever. It's going to be in there. So, and you can build your entire course and have it all ready to go. And it's very simple in Canvas to move the content from one course to another. So it's no danger of wasted work.
Okay.
And I love to hear that question. Thank you. I was going to mention that if somebody didn't bring it up, because we'd love to have you get started with this and get familiar with it as soon as possible. I think you're beginning to get the idea that Canvas is a little bit easier to live with than Blackboard. But I can give you a little bit more concrete perspective on that. I agreed as part of my callback duties here to support the Canvas pilot that we have running right now with 7 courses, a total of several hundred students and 7 faculty running live courses on Canvas right now. And I thought I was going to be getting a lot of emails. It hasn't happened. People just, and some of these faculty had taught on Canvas before and some hadn't. And some of the students had probably taken courses in Canvas before at other institutions, but many of them had not. And the only questions I've had have been things like, why doesn't my password work? Or why didn't my forgot password link not work because I'm not using that email anymore, or whatever. Aside from questions like that, I've had none. People just seem to adapt to Canvas, or so far they've just adapted to Canvas almost without question. I mean, by this time with 7 courses in Blackboard, I would have had at least a couple of dozen emails. Well, you know, I tried to take the test and it timed out on me, or my connection got interrupted, and I can't get back into my test. I just have tons of stuff like that, and it just hasn't happened with Canvas. That's as much a surprise to me as anybody else. So I don't think you're going to have a lot of trouble adapting to it, but you're always welcome to contact us when you have questions. And I hope you're putting some in the chat tool right now for us to get to here in a few minutes, because we're roaring through this. Okay, so you can, everything I've talked about so far kind of assumes that you don't already have a course in a learning management system somewhere. You're starting from scratch with an LMS, and you're putting your content in from scratch. But I'm betting that most of you already have shells in Blackboard that have lots of content in them already, and you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, am I going to have to upload every one of those files again like this? I mean, as quick and as easy as it is, it's still, you know, you got to do it over again. I've already done that. Pardon? And the answer is, if we look back at the outline, the next thing on the outline, oh, I do want to show you how to make a page, but the next thing on the outline is going to be importing content from Blackboard. You can do that. And it's not as fraught as you might have heard with difficulties. But let's get back to Canvas here. Let's add say we wanted to create a Canvas page. Canvas pages are wonderful things. They're the easiest way to add brand new content to Canvas. If I were adding something entirely new, I could always go into Word and create a Word document that had all the information on it. And then I could either upload that, or I could convert it into a PDF and upload that and so on. But it's probably just as easy just to go in and create a Canvas page. So let me get this out of the way here. As before, to add something to the welcome module here, all I have to do is go out to the right on the same line as the welcome, the title of the module, and click the plus sign. And I'll create a page.
I enlarged your picture and I lost your page. How can I get that page back?
There should be a little dash in the upper right-hand corner to allow you to minimize that me and get me out of the way.
It was minimized and now it's completely gone.
Oh, okay. So you've lost the Zoom window completely.
Yes.
Okay, look at the bottom of the, what, are you on a Mac or a PC?
PC.
PC. Look at the bottom of the screen. There should be your little taskbar down there with a bunch of little icons on it.
Yes. Yeah.
And one of those icons should be a little white camera in a blue circle.
No. It says invite participants, share screen, chat, and record.
Oh, okay, so no, you've got the Zoom window up then. That's the Zoom menu. Let's see.
Oh, maybe options up at the top. Oh, exit full screen. Oh, okay. Now, maybe. Ooh, no. Uh-oh.
Worst case scenario, you can just leave the meeting and come right back in. And we'll still be.
Oh, wait a minute.
Dave, I think she just needs to click on the green bar. You are viewing Dave Giverson's screen. Click.
I don't see a green bar. Oh, you know, I see this now. Oh, your view. Okay, darn. You know, I enlarged your picture again, but oh my gosh. Share content. Oh, okay. There was a thing at the top that said view shared content.
Oh, good.
So I think I've got you back. It says add item to welcome.
That's where we are. Very good.
Oh, great. Good. Okay.
And if I might circle, is that Susie? Would you mute your microphone?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
There we go. Now, to add page, if we had pages already in the course, they'd be listed here, but we're just going to add a new page. We do have to give a new page a name. I'm just going to call it demo, call it anything I want, and add the item. Okay, but right now, if I click on that, there's nothing there. There is, however, what?
An edit button.
An edit button. Just, you know, and it's not a tiny little thing that you have to mouse over to see it or anything like that. It's a big, fat button that says edit. So if I click that, I'll get my edit page screen, and I'll get the HTML, so-called HTML editor, the content editor in Canvas. This is very similar to the content editor in Blackboard, except it works better, and it's got extra capability. It's a lot more stable, and it has fewer quirks. I can type text here. And I can almost type. This is embarrassing when I type live. That's certainly true this in November, whatever your persuasion. I can add images. Got all these little tools here, and these you can, I'm not going to try to show you every tool in the editor, but there you can see they all have descriptive labels on them if you just mouse over them. That one allows me to put an image in. The image can just be something out on the web, a URL that you have, or you can pull it from Canvas. Or you can pull it from Flickr. I don't have anything uploaded yet. And this is one slight issue. I would have had to have uploaded this to start with. I can go over here and look for images, but I just don't have anything. But from here, I can upload a new image. I can choose the file, and I can do that. There's the image I have, sorry. I'm not going to tell you how old that picture is. Make it accessible with some alternate text. And we'll just save that. And go back to edit. And come back in, and let's see if we can't find that image this time. Uh-oh. Well, I messed up. Try that again. cancel, or choose file image, yes, open, alternate text, and what did I neglect to do?
Upload.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. I'm looking right at it. See what I mean? It's possible to ignore it. Thank you. All right, bang. All there is to it. I can always, I can put a video in there, go to YouTube, and type cat video. Think I might find some of those? We'll take the first one, and I can either, I have lots of options, but I'm just going to click embed. And there's a cat video in my item, and my page that I'm creating. And it'll play, and so on. I can keep this up, but that's all there is. This is not too this editor is not too different from something like Word or the editor in Blackboard or whatever. Again, except in that case, it works better. And when I'm done, I just save the item. And I go back to my module. And there's the page demo. And if I click on that as a student or whomever, there it is. And there's the cat video. We're gonna give that a miss. Okay, any questions about adding content to modules or creating pages and adding content to pages? Obviously, it's something. Yes, please.
I have a question, Dave, but I don't know whether to take the people's time.
Go right ahead. If it's something I can't answer right now, I'll certainly do it later.
Okay, so I cut and paste like a YouTube video link from Blackboard, and then I pasted it into a page in Canvas.
Right.
And it ended up breaking the URL into 5 parts with 5 little YouTube video images. I could show you if you want to take my screen, but it's weird, and I don't know why that happened.
I don't know, but I'd like to look at that before we get off the line today.
Yeah.
Because normally, usually you're better off just rather than copying and pasting on a Blackboard. You're better off just getting the YouTube URL and then just pasting it in, and that will work.
I tried that too. I mean, I just copied the URL link. Now, I didn't test the URL link. I should probably go do that or go to YouTube and grab it again. I just grabbed, just highlighted the link and pasted that in, and it split it into 5 parts with 5.
Yeah, try pulling the link.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to take everybody else's time because it's a little weird. All the other ones went fine, except one.
There was one that was odd. I don't know what that might have been, but was
all right, not to worry. I'll experiment.
Great.
Okay.
So, anybody else? All right. Well, again, maybe you're going to want to create your shell from scratch, and actually, some folks recommend that. Just starting with your content and create your shell all over again. This is probably especially a good idea if you've been using a shell in Blackboard over and over again for years. A lot of excess material may have built up in that shell over the years that you maybe don't want to drag over to Canvas with you. So what I'm about to show you may not be the best option, but I will tell you that I would it's the first thing I did when I wanted to move a course from Blackboard into Canvas to work with, because I wasn't patient enough to had everything back in one piece at a time or one item at a time. So how can you get your content that you already have in Blackboard? And with on-campus course shells, there's probably a relatively limited amount of content in terms of total disk space and and number of items and so on. How can I avoid having to redo everything I've already done in Blackboard? Well, it turns out it's quite simple. It's just that you get a little bit of a mess when you do it, and you have to know what to look for and how to clean it up. And that's what I'm going to show you. So I'm going to go back to, actually I can't go back to that opening screen again that said, you know, create a module or import content. Again, because I've created modules, it's not going to bring that screen up for me again. But I can import content into Canvas very easily. I do need to have that content, though, exported from Blackboard before I do that. So the first thing we're going to do is go and take a look at Blackboard. Let me see if I can get this bar out of the way here. There it is. There's Blackboard. Here's a Blackboard course that is a fairly simple course that I've used as a demonstration course for years. And here's the course content, the course homepage. And it's got a little bit of stuff on the homepage, and it's got a folder on the homepage called Learning Modules and one called Screencasting Resources. I want you to remember a little bit of this because we're going to look for this stuff when we pull this into Canvas. And then we've got content areas in the course menu. There's course content, and there's a syllabus content area and a learning module content area. And Canvas is going to pull content from all those content areas when we do this import. And it's going to shove them into the modules tool. And some of it's going to look great, and some of it's going to be a little funky. And you're going to have to clean up the funky and reorder the great, and you're going to be done. The first question, of course, is how do I get the content out of Blackboard in order to get it into Canvas? And that you do from your course control panel in Blackboard by going to Packages and Utilities and Export Archive Course. You want an export package, not an archive, because the archive has all the student enrollments and all their data in it and so on, and that stuff won't transfer anyway. You can't bring the course over with your students in it or anything like that. So we want an export package, and all we have to do to make one is to click on the button marked Export Package. You want to be sure that to leave these options here at the defaults. You want to copy the files that are in the course, but if it's something outside the course, you only want to copy the links. You can also, it might be worth hitting the Calculate Size button and make sure that this comes out to less than 500 megabytes. If it's more than 500 megabytes, Canvas is not going to swallow it because your Canvas shells are set to be limited to 500 megabytes in size. So if this says more than 500 megabytes, you've got to go back into the course, probably into your content collection, and there's probably a bunch of old files that have been in there for a long time that you don't use anymore that you're going to have to delete. And we can help you with that. We can help you with paring your course down at need. Then you generally want everything. So you just click Select All. If you want only selected content, you can certainly select it, but there are certain dependencies in this, as many of you who have copied your courses in Blackboard over the years know. For instance, if you want to bring over your tests down here, you have to check that, but you also have to click Grade Center Columns and Settings, or the test won't come over. The same is true with assignments. If Grade Center, let's see if you have, well, this one doesn't have an assignments link, but if you had an assignments link and you clicked on that, the Blackboard would not extract the assignments into the export package if you don't also click Grade Center Columns and Settings. So the short answer is take everything and throw out anything you don't want once you get it into Canvas. All right, that's about all there is to it, and we'll submit, and that export will appear here in a list in a little while. I've already done that. I don't want to wait for that to happen. I've already done it. Here's an earlier export I made that's also going to be the same thing as that one I just had. The next thing we're going to have to do is download that export file to your local computer. And you know, if you mouse over the file name there, it'll give you a little action link, a down caret. You click on that, and of course it doesn't say download, even though that's the only thing you can do with this file. You can't open it on Blackboard. You can't open it, and if you do open it, when you get it on your computer, you'll destroy it. But nonetheless, you have to click open. What it's doing is downloading the file. You just find the where you want to put the file on your computer and click save. I'm not going to do that right now because I've already done it. I've already got that file downloaded to my local computer, but that's the process you go through.
Dave, is this Mac or Windows comfortable? Both?
Both. Has nothing to do, well, there is, I'm glad you brought that up, there is one consideration on a Mac. If you're using Safari on a Mac, the default option for zip files, when you download a zipped file, which this, as you see, this export file is to unzip the file once it's downloaded. And if you do that, it destroys the file, and even if you zip it back up, it'll never work again. So you have to download it again already. After you change an option in the system options in Mac OS and OS X to tell Mac OS X not to do that in Safari. I'll be honest with you, I don't use a Mac often, so I don't have that right at the tip of my fingers here, but we do have a tutorial on our tutorial site that will show you how to do that. And I'll, if anybody has a question about that, if you put it in the chat tool, I will send you the link to that tutorial. It's a very simple option. You just change it. You uncheck a box in the Apple menu on the Mac.
So just to be clear, you're saying if we unzip it, even because normally when I unzip it still keeps the zip file. But are you saying that even that zip file is crashed?
If the file is unzipped and the zip file is not still there, which will happen by default in Safari, or used to happen by default in Safari. They may have changed that by now.
Yeah, because I think I still get to keep the zip file.
If you keep the zip file, you're okay. The process of extracting it doesn't hurt it. It used to be that the Mac would delete the zip file after it.
I'm attending their online, not today. Some other time.
Yeah.
Why do you?
I've done 2 semesters in
Okay.
a lot of things I like about it. Other things.
So that is one possible pitfall on a Mac, but it's easily avoided. All right, so let's go back to Canvas. And we'll go back to the Modules tool. Or I'm sorry, we'll go to Settings, excuse me. Settings is kind of like the control panel in Blackboard. It's where you change a lot of things, a lot of default settings about the course. And we get a bunch of tabs across the top of the screen here that I'm going to show you here in a little while. But what I'm interested in right now is this right-hand menu here. And you will see in that right-hand menu an Import Course Content link. This is the link that you would have activated if you clicked that second big icon in the blank course, when you first brought up the blank course. So we just click that, And it's a pretty simple process. You're just asked what kind of content file am I going to import? You open the menu, and we are using Blackboard 9.1. So this is a Blackboard 6789 export.zip file. The file format hasn't changed since Blackboard 6. So do not pick the Blackboard Vista. That's the version of Blackboard we had, and that's the old WebCT that we had back in the 20th century. Now, I guess I wasn't here in the 20th century, but it's been a long time. So this is the current version of Blackboard that we have, or at least the type of export file that you're going to get. Then you get a Choose File button. You're going to see that a lot. Just click that. And you'll look for that export file on your computer. It just depends on where you downloaded it from Blackboard. And this is the one that I downloaded from the Blackboard course we just looked at. So we'll just select that file, click Open. And the only option you have to pick here is All Content. You can select specific content, and it will give you an option. It will go in and look at the file and try to give you the option to, say, get the quizzes but not the assignments or something like that. But you're likely to run into issues if you do that. So the best bet is to just take all the content and then throw out what you don't need. Usually you don't have to worry about these options. Unless maybe you're copying a Canvas course and you want Canvas to automatically adjust your due dates. You didn't dare do that in Blackboard. If you did, it just destroyed all your dates. You've got dates back into the 20th century and things like that. We don't have enough experience with Canvas to know if this would be a good idea or not. It's certainly not something we need to do when we're first importing a course, but, well, actually, you might want to try it. But it might produce a mess. We don't have enough experience to know right now. Let me know if you try it and you get away with it. But I'm just going to take all content, leave everything else unchecked, and click Import. All right, it's giving me progress here. Tells me it's running. Bar is going across the screen pretty quickly. Bam, just that quickly. It did tell me I have one issue with that import. Let's see what that is. Missing links found in an announcement. Well, gee, that's probably not a major problem. So it looks like it thinks it worked pretty good. Let's find out. We can tell by going to the modules page. Oh, yeah. Lots more stuff. And if I hadn't been talking about it, it would have taken me about 2 minutes to import all that stuff. Let's remember the first two modules here, Welcome and Module 1, are ones I just created manually. So let's just get past those. And it starts off with course content. And if you remember from the Blackboard course, let me go back to the beginning of that. The first page was course content, the first thing in the course menu. And that's what we had there. Well, let's see what we have in Canvas. Well, we've got something called Welcome again. And that is just a Blackboard item that has come in as a Canvas page. Blackboard items in your content pages in Blackboard will show up in Canvas as a Canvas page. But this has just got the word Welcome, the Online Learning Pathways logo, and the title of the course. Probably something we'll have somewhere else. But that's what happens. Every little thing, like this is a Blackboard item. That's going to be a separate page. It's not going to have this video right below it. or at least it's not going to be in that same page in Canvas. It's going to be in another page right below it. So there's the video. So that's not so bad. That may not be the way you believe it, but that's not so bad. Screencasting resources is there. Let's look. That was at the bottom of the page here. That's probably not something we want right up at the top like this, but hey, no problem. If we want that at the bottom of the module list, all we do is mouse over that little movement tool right next to the title of the module. Okay, let's see where that ended up. Yeah, probably want a little further down. So we just keep moving it and so on until we get it down where we want it. We won't worry too much about that right now. All right, so here's the syllabus content area from Blackboard, and it has the syllabus in it, I think. Let's see, yeah, there it is. I lost an image somewhere along the way, and that's not too uncommon, but there it is. That's not much of a syllabus, but that's all that was needed for this course. This could, of course, be your full-blown syllabus. And if it's in the Blackboard course, it's going to come over here. You may not want it right there. You may want it before or after some of this other stuff. You may want it right at the top of the screen. That's fine. You can do that easily. Nothing to moving stuff around on the modules page. The learning modules content area is here, but it doesn't have the learning modules in it from Blackboard. It just has this before you get started link that was something, a little extra thing that we had on the learning modules page. You can put that anywhere you want to later. But let's look at what we do have. What we do have, if we go back, let's look at the learning modules in Blackboard. There's the link. It starts off with, well, there's that before you get started link, but it's the learning modules were entitled Why Screencasting, Jing and Screencast.com, Screencasting, Camtasia Relay with Camtasia, and Final Project. And there they are, just like they were in Blackboard. And there's all sorts of stuff. We still got this screencasting resources thing here. I can actually move things in the modules page by going over here as well and say move module and put it at the bottom and move it. And that gets it all the way to the bottom where I wanted it right off the bat. I should have thought of that first. But here are all these learning modules, and let's see if this content that we have here looks anything like what was in Blackboard. Like with in the Why Screencasting module in Blackboard, let's see what was in there. Just open it up, and there's Why Screencasting. Whoop. What is screencasting? A montage, and what could I do with screencasting? And there they are. And they look the same. This was a video. And the video plays. We'll begin recording first by assuring that our... Geez, I think I made that video in the 20th century. And remember, here are your next and previous links down here. We can either go back to the modules page, or we can just step forward and backward, one item at a time. Sorry, I'm pulling up stuff I don't mean to. I'm just going to go back to the modules page so we can see it, but all that stuff just came over. So while this looks a little odd right off the bat, the content is there. And it's in the same order it was in Blackboard. The vast majority of the time, the content comes over functional. You don't have to mess with it. Your assignments will come over as functional assignments, if you have any, in Blackboard. Your quizzes will come over from Blackboard. Your discussion forums, if you use those. Might be less inclined to do that in an on-campus class, but pretty much just about everything that's in the Blackboard course will come over as is and in functional condition. And you will have to do very little to just start using it. There will always be a few things that are bent one way or another, and you'll have to go through and check for those. But it beats the heck out of having to load everything back in or recreate everything one item at a time, in my book anyway. So, just that quick, you can have a nearly functional Canvas course. You do have to remember that some things may or may not be available to students, and it may or may not correspond to how things were in Blackboard. So you need to watch for these little green check. Make sure that everything you want the students to see has a little green check marks next to them. But there's really not much to do. And that took, even with me bloviating about it, took, what, 5 minutes. So it's not a big deal to get your content out of Blackboard and over into Canvas and get it cleaned up. Okay, let's see here. I want to go back and look and see where we are in the learn to reorder. There's one thing you might want to do. I mean, you can use the Canvas course just as we see it right now. Let me pull that back up. You can use the Canvas course from the modules page. By default, the modules page is the first thing that comes up for the students anyway. And this can be your course. A lot of Canvas courses look just like this. If you want to get a little fancier with the start of it, rather than having them see this modules page to start with, you can create an opening page in Canvas. You can either select an opening page if you already have a page that you want to use, or you can create a new page specifically for use as the opening page. If I go back to the home here, one of the options you'll see right over here in the right-hand menu in Canvas is Choose Home Page. If I click that, I can pick what I want the students and myself to see when we first enter the course. We can choose the course activity stream, which is basically a list of upcoming assignments and things like that. We can pick the course modules, which is the default. We can have the assignments list show up first so that students immediately know what they're supposed to be doing, or we can have the syllabus come up. But we can also have a page come up. The reason I can't select that right now is I didn't think to go in and select an opening page. To do that, I go to the Pages tool over here in the course menu. And look for the page I want, and I created that, remember that welcome page? I think that's it. And if I want that to be the opening page, and this is a little opaque, I go over to the menu here, I can use this as the front page. And it is so indicated. But that still doesn't activate it as what you see initially. Now I have to go back to Home, which is still going to be the modules page, and I have to go to Choose Home Page, And now I have a front page selected. I can choose that as that option, save it. And now, when I hit home or when I enter the course for the first time, that welcome page comes up because that's the one I selected apparently. Remember, you can edit this page and you can put anything you want here. For instance, I could put a link to the modules. I can do that by highlighting that, go to links, modules, the welcome module, and save that. And if I click there, bada bing, I'm on the modules page. That's that neat thing I mentioned earlier, that you can link to something inside the course from a Canvas page, and that's all there is to doing it. So you can make a home page that's as pretty and as functional and contains every bit of resources that you want. You can send people to anything inside or outside the course from your opening page, or you can just have a nice picture there or whatever. But the opening, that's all there is to setting an opening page. And if all you're going to do is provide links to files for your students, you're done. The course is ready to go and you're using Canvas. And a dime will get you 10 bucks that your students will never have to ask you a question about how to get to something in your course. As I mentioned, I know that some of you use Blackboard now much more extensively. You give quizzes, you store grades there, you give your students access to their grades through that and so on. And you can do all that with Canvas as well if you wish. Though that's a little bit outside the scope of this particular thing. I'm going to run quickly through the rest of the course menu here, unless somebody has a question. This is another one of those watershed points in the course, or in the session.
I have a question, please.
Please.
I teach nursing, so typically we have a pretty big class that gets divided into 2 different CRN numbers. And currently on Blackboard, we have to post everything twice for each CRN number. Is there any way that Canvas will allow us to link the 2 CRN numbers so I don't have to post everything twice?
Katz? I believe she's left it. Technically, that is possible. Whether that will be, whether the business processes from Blackboard will be changed to allow you to do that is outside of my ability to answer. So that's a Katz question. But it's certainly possible. Good question. Anybody else?
Are we able, you may be able to explain this, but are we able to customize the menu on the left and add items?
Good point. You can customize it by changing the order of the items over there and determining what the students can or cannot see first. Let me show you that. That's a good question. You do that under Settings, the Settings option in the menu. And that's Navigation, the Navigation tab. If you don't want students to see something, if you don't want to use something at all, like say you're not going to use the Outcomes tool at all, you can just disable it and it disappears. It's down here under, and it's disabled. If you don't want to disable something, but you just don't want the students to see it, like maybe you're not going to give quizzes in this course, you can just click and drag that item down below this line, and that does disable it. We'll redirect to the course homepage, and the students will not be able to see it. Let's see. And you can move things up and down. Like you can put grades above discussions and things like that. And then save the changes. And some of those things, some of them vanished. These two quizzes and outcomes are disabled, though you can still get to them. The students can. And you can change the order. Can you add stuff? Very little. The course menu in Canvas is much less customizable than the one in Blackboard. Canvas tends to use pages for that instead. You can create a page and you can put anything you want on it. But you can't, the only thing I'm sure of that you can add to that, and it's been a while since I've looked at that, is to, you can add links to external content. So say you had a website that was a critical part of the course that you wanted the students to be able to go to, like a link to my math lab or something like that. You can put that link in the course menu. But you don't have nearly the flexibility over here that you did in Blackboard.
And what happens if you export a course that had more items?
It just ignores them.
It ignores them.
Yeah. You won't find them in Canvas, or they'll be somewhere in a module somewhere. I'm not sure. It's always a little hard to tell. You'll just have to try it and see. But there will be a way for you to do what you want to do. You just may not be able to put it in the course menu. You may have to make a page. And
there's a section thing there, Dave. Can't you add a new section?
Let's see. The
tab up top beside navigation.
Oh, sections, yeah. We're probably not going to be using sections. Each course will have one section. Oh,
that's nothing to do with this menu then?
No. No.
Got it.
That doesn't have anything to do with the menu.
Okay.
Good question. So, yeah, that's one of the, there's always something about the old system you like better. And that's one of the things. On the other hand, it does tend to make different Canvas courses look more alike. The course menu is quite similar in all Canvas courses. And this tends to make life a little easier for the students. So that was a conscious design decision made by the people who wrote Canvas, because they'd seen so many Blackboard courses where the course menus were really highly customized. And while that can be good, it can also confuse students. So the guiding design principle in Canvas is simplicity. They try to keep it as simple and as consistent as possible throughout the course and between different courses, so that students moving from one course to the next are, they're more familiar. The environment looks more familiar to them than it might do so in Blackboard. And that's something we just have to live with, unfortunately. Or fortunately, as the case may be. Good question. Thank you. That was something I needed to mention anyway. If you want to know a little bit more about the extent of customization that you can do, please write that question into the chat tool, and I'll get that back to you, because there is information on that available. Okay, anybody else? We're really pretty much into question time now, so I'll take any questions that you have, and because I think we've hit most of these. Oh, the grade book. Somebody asked about the grade book. Here's what the grade book looks like, though there aren't any students in it right now. But by default, it's sorted by student name, last name first. And here are the various gradable items that were in that Blackboard course. And then here are aggregations of those, all the assignments, all the surveys, and so on, if there are any. And the grades just appear here in a table format, and it functions not too differently from any grade book that you've ever seen online. To get that, one kind of funky thing is when you go into the grade book, it collapses the course menu so you can see more columns, and you have to click on these horizontal lines to bring it back. That can put you off a little bit the first time. It certainly did me. Discussions, again, very similar to Blackboard. Here are some discussions that were in there. There are no postings in them, but you go into it. It looks very much like a Blackboard discussion. Reply button, there's the first post, and so on. People is just your roster. You can choose to have the students have access to this or not, as you prefer. There's only one person in there right now, me, but everybody would be listed here. This is like the users tool in Blackboard. Pages shows you all of the pages. Well, pages shows you your opening page, and then you can view all the pages. These are all the pages that are in this course. And you can view any of those and decide what to do with them. Have options to delete them, use them, duplicate them. You can share them with other faculty and so on if you wish. Your file manager in Canvas is just under the Files tool here. This is like the content collection in Blackboard. Here are the various files. Oops, I unpublished that file. That's probably why I didn't see that before. Come on, publish the sucker. There we go. And you can view the files from here. You can delete them. You can rename them and download them if you wish. Generally, a much more intuitive interface.
Excuse me, Dave?
Yes, please.
Hi. Do you know offhand how much file space we will have? I know it's not a lot.
500 megabytes.
500 megabytes. Okay.
Just like in Blackboard.
Okay.
And that's set for us by the state. We don't have a choice on that.
Okay. So anything large, like say if I'm in like graphic design, or
Right.
I'm going to have to host that video someplace else, like on Screencast or something.
Or on YouTube, yeah.
Or on YouTube.
Yeah,
Okay.
we strongly recommend YouTube because the automatic captioning is so good.
Okay. Okay.
You know, we used to make a big deal about YouTube, about how you had to edit the captions and so on. We still do in the training course, but quite frankly, usually captions on YouTube now, the automatic captions are between 95 and 99% accurate.
Yeah, they're pretty close. And then also Zoom will caption. Michelle said Zoom is pretty good at captioning as well.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Zoom now has been, the tool that we're using right now, has been adopted by the Community College Consortium in California as their primary online collaboration tool. They used to use Blackboard Collaborate. They moved to Zoom. And if you can get a free Zoom Pro account, like the one I'm using here, which will allow you up to, I think it's 100 students in a session at a time for free. You just go to, let me put this in the chat tool. Stop the share for a second and make sure everybody has this, because this is pretty cool and pretty important. Did I not hit enter? That goes. There's the URL to go and request your free Zoom account. You can do everything I'm doing here, and you can, when you record something in Zoom, if you record it to the cloud, it will be sent to 3C Media and captioned automatically. I don't have the details on that because, quite frankly, I haven't done that yet. I haven't had a chance to try it, but it's pretty cool and it does work. So because I know Rochelle mentioned that to me as well. So that's a really nice thing. And you can hold online class sessions just like this. Far be it from me to suggest something seditious like that, but all you need for a classroom these days is a nice, comfortable chair somewhere, a laptop, and a good internet connection. Most of you probably have that at home. I had to come into a co-working facility here in Sandpoint, Idaho, near where I live, because my internet connection at home is not reliable enough. But chances are you have a good one at home. Even if you're teaching in the, I'm gonna get, oh gee, I'll edit this out before I put it online. But I swear to goodness, the need for classrooms is primarily an emotional one at this point in time. You can do just about anything you can do in a physical classroom from your study at home with a decent computer and a good camera, and maybe a few extra, if you're doing lab demonstrations or something like that, maybe an extra camera or two and a place you can go that won't burn your house down. But it's insanely powerful. So
I have another question.
Please.
Is there a way to send students emails through this to either a group or
is there ever? Is there ever? Look over here in the left-hand column. See the inbox?
Yep.
Click on that. You've got an email system. But in Blackboard, we have to choose between, well, I want this to be an internal email, so they have to log into the course so they can see it when they log into the course, or I want to use the external email tool. Here, it's all one tool. If I compose a message, which is here, and I send it to, let's see, I think I've got some people in that one, to no, that I've only got one person in there. Let me find a course I've got a few extra users in. To students, say I want to send it to Eileen Crakes. Eileen's going to wonder where the hell this came from. And I'm going to get myself in trouble. She's a dean now. Probably be best if I spelled my name right. There we go. Okay, if I hit send, not only did that go to her Canvas inbox, it went to whatever inbox, whatever address she has registered in Canvas in her account. Not only can she read that message in her district email, she can reply to it, and the reply will come back to Canvas. The reply will go directly to me, but it'll also come back to Canvas. Pretty cool.
Thank you.
You bet. That is one of the best things about Canvas.
Hey, Dave, I have a question along those lines.
Yeah.
So how do we or students choose their preferred, where they get their email through Canvas? Is it through their account settings or?
The email that's going to go into Canvas when their accounts are first created is going to be the one that the district has.
Okay, from Reggie.
From Reggie.
Okay. And then if they change it,
they can change it.
where would they change it?
It is under user settings.
Okay.
Let's see. They go to the account tool to settings.
Okay.
And it's down here somewhere. Edit settings. There we go.
Edit. Okay.
And it's here somewhere. Email address. So they can't really change it so much as they can add other email addresses. They just click add email address, and I can put, for email, I can put in my Yahoo address.
Okay. So,
And
say
then,
oh, okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. And I'd have to go and click on a link in there. And once I do that, I can also set the default email address that I want used.
Oh, okay. Where would I set the default?
So that I can't see that right now because this hasn't been confirmed yet. Right now, this is the default one.
Okay. So say, for example, a student changes his or her email in Reg E. Will it automatically be added in here, or will they have to add it into their Canvas?
That's a very good question, and it's one that I don't have an answer to yet because the process of updating the email addresses or of integrating Campus Solutions, PeopleSoft, with Canvas has not been finalized yet.
Okay.
So I don't know, but I'm confident that the student will be able to add a new email address and make that the default.
Okay. So that's something we should show them how to do.
And
just
we
in
have
case.
a tutorial for that already.
Oh, awesome. So I'm sorry, I'm late to the party. Where are the student tutorials for like our district?
Very good. What I'm going to ask you to do is go to the chat tool, and if you haven't already done so, enter your name and your email so that I know you attended and I can contact you. And once you do that, also just put in a request for me to send you the link to the session syllabus here, which has the link for our Canvas tutorials and Instructure's Canvas tutorials for both students and faculty. And there's a marvelous selection out there already available.
Dave, before you leave here, I saw text message when you were adding the email.
Yeah, but I don't believe we have that. I don't think we've paid for that functionality, but that is a possibility. That could happen. Yeah, I know. That'd be cool. I don't know enough about that to be able to confidently tell you that you're going to be able to do that, but it's a possibility.
Hey, Dave, I have a weird esoteric question, but it's
all righty.
So
I've got 6 minutes left.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so I have a rubric, and then because I had transferred it over from Blackboard, I saw something odd, and I thought, oh, I don't need that, and I deleted it. And then I realized, oh, I deleted a row that I did need, and then it would only let me add it to the bottom. Is there a way to move those criteria
move
around?
The row and the rubric in Canvas?
Yeah.
I
tried to insert one because on the tutorial it showed me I could insert, but it's a lie.
Oh boy. Well, if you've been through that tutorial, you're more current on it than I am. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Then the other question you might have already gone over is, did you already go over making things visible or not, or seeing things from a student view?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I'll watch the Zoom.
Well, that's very quick.
Oh, okay.
All we have to do, let's see, is get the menu back there. Home. Here's your student view right on the home page. The students obviously don't see this menu over here, but you do.
Okay.
And in terms of whether something is visible or not, well, here's the whole course. You know right now that this course as a whole is not visible to students.
Okay.
If we go to the modules, where most of the content is, you can tell just by looking at the little icons over here. Everything but demo here is available. It would be visible to students if the course as a whole were visible. And all I have to do to make that visible is click on it. So you see the green check marks are what you're looking for. And that's all there is to it.
So if the course as a whole is unpublished, then it doesn't matter what I have published inside is completely
Correct.
closed off. Now, if I'm working in the course, so I want the course published, but I'm working on stuff that I don't want them to see,
Right.
then I just check each individual little item in the module.
Unpublish.
Unpublish. Okay.
Or you can unpublish the entire module if you wish.
Okay.
And that takes everything. That means nothing inside the module will be visible.
Okay. But if I create something, like say I create an assessment, no, say I create a discussion and I publish that discussion, but then for whatever reason I need to hide it, I can't hide it in the module. I'd have to actually go to discussions and hide that particular one?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they could still get to it unless you've hidden the discussions link.
Oh, okay. So I'd have to go to discussions and hide the particular thread that I don't want them to see. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that left menu is really key in terms of hiding in a published course.
Yes.
Okay.
If you don't want students to be able to see who else is in the course, you need to hide that people link.
Okay, and then
that is earlier in the session.
So I have to hide the people.
And you can figure it out. It's just it's in the settings.
In the settings. Okay.
The settings menu, the settings option on the course menu.
Okay.
All right.
Is there a way for us to really see it as a student would see it? Like I like to make tutorials for them using screencasting. How that home one shows a lot of other stuff, right?
Just go to student view.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Okay.
And that's available from here, or it's also available under the settings tab.
Okay. Great.
There
Thanks
it is
so
right
much.
at the top of the settings. You bet.
Okay.
Oh, we got a lot of business done there in a couple of minutes.
Okay. And then how soon will the Zoom be available? For
that's a good question. Hopefully, if not this afternoon, tomorrow sometime.
Oh, fabulous. Okay, and that's shareable with faculty, other faculty?
We're going to put it on our web page, but you can share it with anyone you wish.
Oh, terrific.
I am going to go back through it, and I think I did make some remarks about classrooms and Zoom and things like that I'm going to edit out because I get fired instantly.
No. And then have you decided if you might be able to do another Zoom session? I think.
Oh yeah, we're going to do these on a regular basis on Tuesdays.
On Tuesdays, okay.
Yes.
The same time though?
We're going to alternate as much as we can, morning and evening.
Oh, great.
Morning and afternoon, excuse me.
Morning and afternoon.
So I'll do some in the morning, some in the afternoon. The morning sessions will be 10 to noon, and the afternoon sessions will be like this one, 2 to 4.
Any chance of them at a different time or no? Because I teach 11 to 2. So I'm either leaving early or.
I hear you. Ask Katz about that. I'm open to the idea, but I think I might have mentioned that I had to rent an office.
I know.
To do this because I can't depend on my internet connection at home. Sometimes it works well enough to do this and sometimes it doesn't.
Okay.
I would hate to have you plan to be somewhere and not be able to do it. So I'm not opposed to the idea, and check with Katz and see what she thinks.
Okay, great.
And I'll do my best.
Okay, thanks so much, Dave. Really
Oh, it's so good to see and hear everyone. I'm going to unshare here so I can see everybody who's left. Oh my God, there's still a lot of people here. That's pretty cool.
We love you. You're a rock star.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. I will have this chat log will be saved automatically at the end along with the recording. And I will go through the chat log. I'm not sure. It looks to be fairly extensive, so it may take me a few days to get through it. Like I say, I'm a retired guy now, but I will get to it. And any question that you have put in there, I will get an answer for you, or I'll at least let you know that there isn't an answer as far as I know.
Okay, great.
Any last minute things? I'm fine here for a minute. There's not going to be any more content presented, but I'll certainly answer some more questions if anybody has any. I've got the room for another hour.
Dave, I have a question. I heard that I think you have already answered, but just want to make sure that if you're if you're doing something, typing or something, it automatically student can see it. So is it that every time we need to unpublish it if you're
I believe when you create an item, I have seen it automatically publish it. So you always want to take a look at that icon to see if it's a green check mark or a little slashed circle.
Okay. So
it's
even
possible something could show up when you don't want it to. So you would have to immediately unpublish it.
Okay. So that's same for everything. We can click on that and
you can unpublish anything within the course and hide it, and that hides it from the students very straightforwardly. And you can tell at a glance, looking up and down the module page, whether something is visible to students or not.
Thanks, Dave. I need to leave. My students are already there for my office hour. Thank you so much for your help.
Oh, it's so nice to be with you this afternoon. Anybody else have anything?
Oh, I do. Dave, if I'm...
Arlene, hi.
Hi, sorry, it's me again. If, say I'm editing a test and I want a question that's kind of similar, but, you know, different items in it, how do I copy that test question?
That's a good one to put in the chat tool.
Test, name it as something different. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. Because I don't have a test to play with here right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was trying to do a pre-post survey kind of quiz, and every time I try to change the name, it would just change the whole thing. And so I ended up with a pre-pre or a post-post, and I'm like, okay, this is stupid. And I'm wasting time trying to get it to do what I want it to do. I couldn't name it differently without it changing the first one.
Right.
So I felt like an idiot, and I thought I need to ask Dave.
It may be something that Canvas just won't allow. You know you're going to run into things like that. And there will be things that you used to do in Blackboard that you can't do in Canvas. Not very many, but when you get down to that level of granularity, there will be some differences, and not all of them will be positive. I can assure you of that.
Oh, okay.
But I'll look into that for you.
Okay.
Do type that into the chat.
Oh, okay. Great. I'll do that.
That way I won't forget.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
So just to clarify, in theory, our tests and our rubric should come over from Blackboard without issue?
Yes. Well, without issue is a promise I won't make, but they will come over, yeah.
I can tell you right now, what in my course, they went over, but you have to edit. So like, you know, you have to watch some of the rows, the criterion name didn't come over, even though all the others did. I don't know why it didn't. And so you just have to make sure that as you're going through, like say your rubric, that if a name didn't go through, that you have to just edit it. Don't be so fast to delete like I was. I'm like, I don't need that, and then I was like, oh darn it, because in principle, wherever that blue crosshair is, you're supposed to be able to add a row or a column, but it won't let me reorder it. I haven't figured out. I keep thinking there must be a way, but I can't. It wouldn't let me.
And there's some possibility that may have something to do with the fact that it came in from Blackboard.
Okay. What else was a problem? Oh, I kept trying to edit. So I had made a test item, and then I needed to change one of the items, or I needed to change it to a possible answer that was wrong, and because the default somehow when I wrote it, it came in as a correct answer, would not let me change it and save it. I did it like 10 times. I don't know why. So I just deleted it.
And recreate the question. There will be little things like that you just have to do. But the point is that you don't have to recreate everything.
Right. Okay. Oh, and then
the vast majority of it will work just as it did in Blackboard.
And then is it possible to do a quick archive of our class every time we update it? That we have it? You know how Blackboard, every time you'd make a big update, you'd just archive, so that if maybe the power went out, you could just
that's a really good question. Yes. Let me share again here. Had to think about that for a second. If you go to the Settings tool, course menu, the Settings option, here's your Export Course Content.
Okay.
And just do that. Export course, you can export just the quizzes, a quiz, I think, or all quizzes, or the entire course. And just create export.
Okay.
And then you can download it.
Oh, great. Thank you.
You bet. And the Canvas server is also backed up. You know, it's redundant. It's redundant all the time. This is hosted. Canvas is a hosted environment. You can't host it locally. They host it, and they have everything, you know, spread across multiple servers, backed up to Sunday all the time. They don't have to like run a backup each night. It's backed up essentially instantly, kind of like Google Docs. And the chances of you losing something out of your Canvas course are so low that you probably really want to worry more about getting hit with a meteorite. Okay?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great questions. Great session. I really enjoyed this. I haven't been able to, this is the first time in a year and a half I've done something like this, and it's been a real treat. I appreciate you all joining me today. Okay.
Thank you, Dave.
Everybody is kind of dropping out, so I'm just going to call it a day, and I will, Cass will send out an email. I'm going to ask the folks here at the location where I am what the availability is on Tuesdays for the next several weeks, and Cass will be sending out a message with the upcoming schedule, and any of you are welcome to come in to any of these sessions anytime you wish. The Zoom room I'm using right now will accept 500 attendees. So you can come by as often as you like. I'd love to see you again. Take care.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Bye-bye.
Bye.